Hello and welcome back to our podcast. My name is Dr. Alison Chiwara. I'm the founder and CEO at Human Focus Limited, a company that is dedicated to creating happier and healthier workforces and, of course, amazing communities all around. Today, our title for our podcast is going to be The Wisdom in the Wait. I really want to touch on this because this is also personal for me. So the wisdom in the wait, understanding the waiting in business. Have you ever found yourself waiting? Just waiting for that breakthrough, that deal, that investment, that opportunity that just never seems to come. There's a tension in waiting, isn't there? It stretches you. It unsettles you. And it makes you almost doubt yourself, your abilities, your journey even. But what if I told you that waiting is actually a form of refinement as opposed to punishment? That waiting is actually a masterclass, one that many of us resist, but all of us must learn from. Isn't that poignant? Well, today I really want to take you on a jumbled up journey, shall I say, one of faith, resilience, and one of absolute reflection on yourself. Because you see, in the world of business, leadership, and change making, waiting is almost inevitable. You see, you cannot avoid it. But it's also what we do in the waiting that actually defines us, that actually molds us into the next version of ourselves that we really ought to be. You see, I remember a time, in fact, I was speaking to one of my very good friends, Helene, and I was saying, I remember a time when I was waiting. I thought I was waiting for a funding opportunity that would change everything. I had done the work, yes. I'd made the right connections, absolutely. I'd pitched my heart out, for goodness sake. And yet, silence. No callbacks, no confirmation, just waiting. Days even turned into weeks. Weeks into months. And with every passing moment, doubt crept in. You know what? I actually started to ask myself, am I enough? Did I make the wrong decision? Maybe, do you know what? I should just settle for something smaller, something safer, right? I thought I needed that opportunity. But you see, in this waiting, I couldn't see in that moment, what I couldn't see was that the wait was redirecting me towards something much more personal that I actually didn't even know I was meant for. Well, instead of that funding, I was led to partnerships that aligned me perfectly with my mission, with my own values, and with my purpose, what I am, what I stand for. And when I finally looked back, right now, I realize that everything, absolutely everything, the delays, the silence, every no was actually a not yet. And it was preparing me, rather, for something far much greater than what I thought I needed. I don't know, maybe you are in that place now. Maybe you are waiting for validation, for recognition, for the green light, perhaps. Maybe, just maybe, you think you know what exactly you need right now. But what if, and I just say, just what if, the waiting is actually leading you to somewhere much, much better? You see, there's a little bit of science in waiting. And I want us to talk about this. So one may ask me, Dr. Alison, what actually happens to us in the waiting? Well, what I do know and what I've started is that science tells us that uncertainty triggers our brain's amygdala, that fear center So it creates anxiety because we're so wired to crave control, right? To know what's next. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. But here's the paradox. Growth actually happens. Yes, you've heard it, and I will firm it up. Growth actually happens in the waiting. Neuroscientists have found that when we sit with discomfort rather than rush to resolve it, we actually build something that is so important in business today, resilience. We develop a certain level of patience we never knew we had. We start to refine our strategies into something much more refined. But hear me out. The most importantly, what we learn is emotional intelligence. The ability to sit in that known and still move forward with purpose. Believe me, that is a hard nut to crack. Sitting in the unknown and still pushing forth. There's a lovely quote by Rainer Maria Rilke that says, "Be patient toward all that is unresolved in your heart. Be patient and try to love the questions themselves." That's the work, to love the questions, to trust the unfolding, and looking at the waiting not as a block, but as a bridge. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, a leader, perhaps a change maker, this lesson is absolutely for you. I have been desperate to share this with somebody. Waiting is not just part of the journey. It is actually the journey, okay? And it's in this waiting here that we learn the mostest. And we learn key lessons. The first one that I want to share with you is that waiting is not passive. It's absolutely active. It's not about sitting idle, hoping that, one day things will fall into place. It's actually, we're refining, we're learning, we're preparing. And this is the moment we're asking ourselves, what skill can I sharpen while I'm waiting? What is it that I can do to better myself while I'm waiting? Here's lesson 2 that I learned, is that in waiting reveals what truly matters. Are you chasing what looks good or what aligns with your values? Sometimes that waiting time actually reveals whether we are actually in it for the right reasons. And that is also poignant and very key. And for me, personally, I also learned that waiting also teaches us to surrender sometimes. This is the hardest one, right? Because to surrender doesn't mean giving up. No, it means trusting what's meant for you will not pass you by. Are you with me? And sometimes faith, whether that's in God, the universe, or simply the process, is the only thing that can carry you through lesson 3. And it is the hardest one. It is the hardest one. Now, of course, I ask you, what are you waiting for? So, are you waiting in frustration, or are you waiting with purpose? Or perhaps you're resisting that wait, right? Or are you actually allowing it to shape you while you're in it? Because if there's one thing I know for sure and for certain, is this: everything, yes, absolutely everything has meaning. The doors that closed, the silent seasons, the opportunities that slip through our fingers, so close yet so far. They were never rejections, only redirections. So remember this, everything has meaning. And when you finally arrive, at that thing you didn't even know you were destined for, you didn't know you needed, you will look back and whisper, I see it now. I understand the waiting, because you will know. So today, I really want to invite you to trust, to breathe, and just acknowledge the waiting. Because on the other side of it, I promise you, there's something so far greater than what you could ever have planned for yourself. So, until next time, keep growing, please keep believing, and absolutely keep trusting in that wait, knowing there are lessons, key lessons you will learn. But also remembering that sometimes that faith, whether it's in whatever you believe in, whether it's in God, Allah, the universe, or simply in that process of waiting, that is the one thing that will carry you through. Waiting is not passive, it's active. And I will close off with a quote that I said earlier by Rainer Rilke that says, "Be patient toward all that is unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Continuously trusting the unfolding of the unknown." Absolutely trusting the waiting. I hope that today I've imparted on you a little bit more about the wisdom in the wait. And I hope that with this you have a better understanding of the waiting in business and in your personal life. From me to you, from human focused to your organization, and of course to your household or maybe your community. It's goodbye from now. Until next week, let's catch up again.